Okay, hi guys, how's it going? So I thought I'd share my experiences with this new lens that I picked up this morning. It's the Samyang 24mm f2.8 Sony FE lens. So for Sony mirrorless full frame cameras. It's pretty cheap and cheerful. The price is there. And the reason I picked this up, it's not sort of a big sort of sexy, shallow depth of field, sort of cinematic type lens, cinematic in brackets. It's the reason I picked this up is for gimbal use. So what I wanted was a lens that was going to work well on my Sony mirrorless for gimbal, and for me that generally means a sort of a wide or a medium wide field of view. Tends to work better for the way I use gimbals. And I know you can put sort of on the cranes and on the the DJI gimbals, on quite a few of the Ronin and all the rest of it, you can put quite heavy lenses nowadays, but for me I prefer light little compact lenses. If you're carrying around something for a few hours, you want the whole thing to be light and easy to deal with, and as you can tell, this is a perfect, put the weight there by the way, this is a perfect little light compact lens. And I wanted an autofocus lens so I didn't have to worry about the focus so much. I tend to be behind the camera and I tend to be manual focus everything, but for this particular lens I wanted something that was going to work well for autofocus. So I'll just quickly talk about it. So the fly-by-wire focus is a bit cheap feeling. Don't get too excited. You won't be doing any nice sort of sexy pull focuses. Well, you can do, but you're quite disconnected from the mechanism, the way this the autofocus works on these kind of fly-by-wire lenses. So I wouldn't say that was a great feature of it, but it's pretty damn sharp. It's sharp in the middle pretty much throughout. Wide open, it's sort of soft around the corners up to about f5.6, and it starts to sharpen up from corner to corner. So anywhere between f5.6 and f11 is pretty much sharp from corner to corner right the way through. But wide open, you've got a fair amount of vignetting and a fair amount of fuzziness down in the corners. So if that's a big problem, then don't use it. But like I said, it's pretty much sharp in the center throughout the whole range. So no problems there. It is very sort of cheap and plasticky feeling. Couple other things I should point out: it comes with a little really cheap feeling lens hood, which is practically pointless, and I'll probably hardly use it, although it's not great with flaring. From a couple of my quick tests, it does seem to pick up the sun flare a little bit, so you may want to use this on occasion. I've ordered a couple of 49mm variable NDs to pop on the front of this for video work. Also comes with a little sort of Samyang zippy baggy thing, which is not particularly useful, but I just thought I'd let you know. That's the box in case anyone was curious, but any of the details are on there. Not very interesting, but I just thought I'd share that. But the main reason I'm doing this video is to test out the video autofocus, how smooth it is and how accurate and how fast it is. So without further ado, just so you know, that's a GH5 Micro Four Thirds camera with a 12mm lens at f2.8. I'm now going to swap it for this full frame camera at 24mm at 2.8. So the field of view should be almost identical pretty much, but it will show you the difference between the full frame and the Micro Four Thirds native lens. So let's swap cameras. Okay, so now we're with the Sony 24mm at f2.8, and that's wide open. Hopefully you can see that the field of view is pretty much the same as the 12mm on the GH5. It may be terribly slightly tighter, because I've heard this is slightly tighter than a standard 24mm, so it might be more like a sort of 25mm or so. Anyway, without further ado, let's mess around with some autofocus testing. So I believe this is roughly the minimum distance on the focus. It's about sort of 30 centimeters, but let's test it and see how far we can go. That's probably beyond its nearest focus limits. Okay, now let's shoot out and see if it follows my face. Let's do a couple of stick something in front of the lens. I think this is always generally a pretty good test. Then back to my face. Let's check out the autofocus sort of on wide. It should prioritise my face over the background, because I've got that set up on here at the moment. I'm no autofocus wizard. I tend to manual focus everything anyway, so I wouldn't necessarily take my advice on autofocus settings, but I think I've got it set up as as you would want for this kind of work. And let's go right the way back here, see if it follows my face. and then zoom up to the lens, and one more of these, so let it find my face. And I haven't got a monitor on here at the moment, so I can't actually tell what it's doing. That was probably a bit quick. Let's just hold that there for a little bit longer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to my face. Yeah, I don't have a rear facing monitor on here at the moment. I'm just doing a very quick test, impromptu test. Anyway, that should give you an idea. So yeah, so the reason why I'm using this lens is gimbal work, so hence the autofocus test. I think that's the main thing I want to do really and share with you, because from what I've seen, there's other guys that have done really good reviews on this lens, and they've pixel peeped and they've pulled it apart. I'll put the link down in description for those. So I didn't want to do like a real pixel peepy kind of quality test on this lens. I just really wanted to test the autofocus for this type of setup, like gimbal type setup, where you're really letting the autofocus do its own thing. Just so you know, so if I put my fist right under the camera, so that's roughly what it would be like if you were vlogging with a camera. It'd be this sort of framing, this sort of distance, which I think 24 is not too bad. It might be tight, a little bit tighter than some people would like for arm's length recording, but I think it's not too bad. Let's pop it into APS-C mode. This is in full frame mode on the A7 III. Let's pop it onto APS-C mode just to get a feel for how different that is, and whether the autofocus still works well in that framing. Okay, so this is a bit tighter now. So this is in the APS-C mode on the Sony. Haven't changed anything else. I just flicked it over onto APS-C. Let's do a little bit of those focus test again. Like I said, for me, this is the main thing. Is just I really want to know that I can trust the autofocus and just let it do its own thing on the gimbal without worrying too much. And I'm kind of used to setting my focus to infinity or to someone's face and then keeping the distance manually. I'm used to doing that, but it'd be nice just to be able to have a lens that you can just trust to go to autofocus and it just works. Like, I don't mind if it takes a little bit longer to go from point A to point B, as long as it's a smooth transition and looks kind of natural and organic and not too, pulsy or crunchy. It's that kind of, that smooth autofocus is what I'm after, really. Something that's dependable, do you know what I mean? Like, doesn't need to blow your brains off, or blow your hair back or whatever, but it just needs to work and do its job and not screw up. So hopefully this is staying on me nicely and the background is not kind of pulsing away or anything like that. Do one more of these just to get a feel, and then down, and then that's it really. So anyway, there you go, guys. For those of you that are thinking about a gimbal lens, a lens for your Sony mirrorless gimbal type setup, or you just want a cheap, nice, wide prime lens, so far, I've only had this for a few hours, but so far I'm pretty happy with it. I'll do a quick couple of tests just to show you how fast the autofocus is for stills and all that kind of stuff. Just looking at the back of the camera. Let's do that now. Okay, I don't know how well this is going to work, but I'll quickly show you the autofocus speed. So with the Samyang 24mm on the A7 III, the eye focus is working absolutely fine. Haven't got a model, so just got a DVD cover there with the face on it. And the autofocus speed between points, hopefully you can see this, sorry I'm trying to look at too many things at once. So background, foreground, background, this is in stills mode. Yep, super fast. Super fast. I'll take a couple of quick photos to check. And flick that round over to video. Oh, turn APS-C up mode off. And you can see it's doing face priority in the video as well. It's locking on there. Apologies if you can't see this. So let's just let it go to the background a minute. And then, yep, it's pretty much still prioritizing the face. I'm just going to move it over here a little bit so I can get onto the background. And then, there you go. Yep, as you can see, it's very fast and fluid in stills and in video for the autofocus. Yep, really happy with this. So, big thumbs up. There you guys, just so you could see that. Okay, so let's have a look at a couple of shots for how I want to use this, which is on the gimbal. So first thing I need to point out is the lens is so light. I've got the Zion Crane V2, and as you can see by this, I actually had to add blue tack to the lens to help counterbalance because the lens is so light I couldn't get the camera any further forward. So bear that in mind. I mean, when I put my ND hasn't arrived yet, so when I get my ND for this, that will add a tiny bit of weight to the front. But bear that in mind. It's such a light lens that some cameras may even need a bit of extra counterbalance. Let's have look at a couple of shots. So these are just some random shots. So it's just a tracking shot. They're all at f2.8 and full frame mode. So I just wanted to really test the autofocus sort of on the move to see how it dealt with, you know, tracking faces and all the rest of it, and keeping the background separation. This is me holding the gimbal and walking, so that's what it would be like in a kind of selfie mode type scenario. And then we're just tracking along. So what I found is it's just really nice smooth autofocus. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, as you can see, go over his shoulder there and it snaps onto the background, no problem. And keeping him in center frame, it's staying on him. And I was sort of doing a little bit of, you know, from various distances and all the rest of it. And yeah, the autofocus is really reliable, and really quite smooth. As you can see, the background is slightly blurred out there at 2.8. It's not a huge separation, but there's enough to, you know, give it a little bit of a look. A few of these random shots. It's very blustery and cold today, so didn't spend too long testing it, but I really wanted to try it from a few different distances and try sort of, you know, moving the camera around the subject and all the rest of it to see what it was going to lock onto. And as you can see, it's doing a pretty good job there. I think it's just going to go onto the background here. Yeah, so it goes onto the background, which is kind of what I expected it to do because most of the frame is filled by the background. And now I got him center shot, and I wanted to see if it would stay on his face, which it did. Didn't shift at all. And again, just checking how this autofocus is working on this lens. And yeah, I'm really happy with the results of this. I think I would be quite confident in using this lens on the gimbal in autofocus most of the time. It depends on the type of shot, obviously, but as you can see, it's not doing anything unexpected, and there's no sort of focus breathing or pulsing or anything weird going on as it tries to re-establish a lock. And yeah, so I'm really happy. There you go, guys. I thought it'd be quite useful. I know a lot of people use these Sonys on gimbals, and you know, a lot of people are after a really good lens to use in this situation. And for the money, I think this is a really good choice. There is some vignetting. If you have a look at, so I'll just replay that shot there. If you have a look at the shots, you can, you know, these are all f2.8. Remember that the vignetting does clear away quite a lot when you get to 5.6 or f8 or something. The vignetting is there and it is noticeable. I haven't obviously tried to correct for it. I've just left it as it is coming out of the camera. So there is vignetting. So if that is a problem for you, then you know, maybe this isn't the lens for you. But personally, I really don't mind it. I think it's not a problem whatsoever. It just, you know, it just looks like standard kind of vignetting, whatever that means. Anyway, you know, just be aware of that. The vignetting is noticeable, and you know, if you're pointing at a very, you know, a very light, even tone subject like this, these overcast skies, you can really see that the corners of the image is darker than the rest. But anyway, I'll stop waffling on. There you go, guys. There's a nice few examples for you, so you get an idea what this lens, how this lens works in the field. These are obviously just very casual shots, but you know, it still gives you a pretty good idea that you can rely on the autofocus on this lens, certainly with the A7 III, and many of the other Sony cameras would do a blinding job at following the focus with autofocus. Anyway, hey guys, I hope these little clips and tests were useful, and yeah, peace out, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.